Run 3 is a very simple game with very simple mechanics. You can jump, you can move right, and you can move left. Surely you couldn't make a challenge out of this. All these moves are so crucial to the gameplay that there's just no way you could live without them. But what if you could? Can you beat Run 3 without ever going left? I started by loading up a new game and starting in the first level. Obviously, since it's the tutorial, we flew through it. There's barely any holes, and even a blind chimpanzee could do this level without dying. Level 2 seems a little more dangerous, as you actually have to shift the gravity by landing on the wall, but we're still basically in a tutorial and I had no issues. Level 3 had the simplest of parkour, and level 4 wasn't much harder. Level 5 though was the first time I thought I might die. After you get out of the tutorial, most of the levels have small platforms you have to jump between to follow winding paths going left and right. So, if I ever go a little too far to the right, then I won't be able to make a jump and will end up just falling to my death without being able to do anything about it. Thankfully though, in this level, I was able to clear the jump and finish the level. Level 6 was filled with big areas of crumbling tiles which, if you can believe it, crumble when you touch them. Levels 7 and 8 were easy, but level 9 was where I had my first death. To be completely honest, it's not a very difficult level. I just went a little too far to the right and fell into the void. Level 10 can get a little tricky if you touch any of the crumbling tiles, as they will all then fall and you could miss a jump. But I just avoided them and unlocked my second character, the Skater. Before we get too far in the video, if you like it so far, then hitting the sub button would mean the world to me. Thank you. The Skater can go a lot faster than the Runner, which usually makes him a lot more fun to play as. The platforming becomes a little more difficult, but it's still better. However, in this strategy, it's a little different. The main strategy I have in this game is to jump and then crash into a wall to land in the perfect spot. It's a lot easier to do than precisely making every jump, especially when you have the ridiculous speed and far jumps that the Skater has. But this usually requires going left or right, whichever way has a viable place to land. When I play with the Skater without being able to go left, it's usually more of a nuisance than anything else. Level 14 had winding paths that go back and forth, and I had to pull off some tight platforming to pull through. During level 17, I decided to tackle the achievement. You have to go around in a circle and knock out all of the crumbling tiles. I had an amazing save off this platform and got the achievement. The next level that actually gave me a bit of trouble was level 23. There are vast amounts of open air and not too many platforms, so if you pick the wrong way, you just die. Eventually, I figured out a solution. Level 27 immediately looks impossible. To start the level, you need to go left to get on this platform, but I can't make the jump. There's another way to start the level up here that looks somewhat possible, and usually when levels have two different starting paths, you'll switch between them after dying, but for some reason this level just didn't get the memo. I racked my brain for solutions and eventually came up with an idea. What if I played through the earlier level again and then entered on that other path? So I did just that and it worked, and then I died. So I had to play through level 26 all over again, and this time I managed to make it all the way through the level without dying. Level 29 seemingly had one path I could follow, and it always led to death. I couldn't see another path to travel, so I tried the strat of playing through the previous level, but it didn't help. The parkour was still impossible. The jumps were just too far for the Runner to make. Thankfully, the Runner isn't the only character we have at our disposal. The Skater can go faster and can therefore jump farther, letting her clear this level with ease. I flew through a couple more levels with the Skater before reaching level 32. My first attempt looked a little something like this. It doesn't look awful. I'm sure if I optimize it a bit, I could go further. Oh. I can't make the first jump. So, to even have an attempt at this level, I first need to play through the previous level. This just made the grind so much worse and more painful to me. Every time I made a tiny mistake or fell off at the beginning, it was so much more frustrating because I had to play through a whole other level just to get back. Not to mention the fact that the level just feels impossible. Both the Runner and the Skater can make it about halfway before they're required to move left. And we can't pull out that this isn't the only character in our roster card because these are the only two characters we have. Or can we? You might think that most of the characters in this game are unlocked by progressing through the game and beating difficult levels, but actually most of the characters can only be acquired by purchasing them with power cells, the currency in this world. And believe it or not, you don't get power cells by completing levels. You actually get them by playing a completely different mode called Infinite Mode. In there are power cells just floating around to collect. With me only being able to move right and only having the runner and skater, it might take a while, but it's very possible to obtain a new character. Since I'm in high school and it would legitimately take me more than 5 hours to grind the power cells, I'm just going to log into my 100% account and move on with my day. I tried out a couple of different characters, but the only one with real promise was the student. His ability allows him to flip gravity completely, or just for a little bit to get a slightly farther jump. With the help of the student and some solid platforming, I cleared this seemingly impossible level, and since I didn't spend the time to grind out power cells and legitimately unlock these characters, I'm only going to use them if it's absolutely necessary, because I think it's more fun anyways with just the original characters. I honestly thought level 35 was just fun. It doesn't look promising at the beginning. There are 2 sections of crumbling tile and not much wiggle room. If you destroy either section, you're kind of just screwed. But then I decided not to move left or right and just jump. Immediately after though, I got stuck. It felt like I was only able to travel on one path and it just always led to death. So I had to play through level 35 again, landing all of those jumps again, but it worked and I managed to find a path through 36. Level 40 just happened to wind to the right, which allowed me to claim an easy win and our next character, the Lizard. The Lizard is my favorite character because he can jump incredibly high. This makes platforming a lot easier and impossible jumps possible. Level 43 was riddled with holes, and with my inability to readjust to the left, I was constantly falling in them or going too far right and being forced to jump to my death or start over. So I decided to use the Lizard instead. With his massive vertical, I easily cleared the level on my first try and proved how powerful he is. Although the Lizard is one of my best characters, I had to switch him away for level 44. I tried for several minutes to find a path that wouldn't kill me right before the end. Every path looked great, but as I approached the end, it required me to go left or to make a jump that was slightly too far. Despite his incredible height, he doesn't actually jump much further than the normal runner. You know who does though? That's right, we're breaking out the skater again. This took a considerable amount of tries, as the skater is so hard to control, and I was constantly making super tight jumps. But I eventually managed to make a clutch jump at the end and beat the level. Level 46 was awful. It starts out with a jump that's definitely possible. I've landed it a couple of times, but even so it feels pixel perfect. Even if you manage to land the jump, you still have to navigate your way through a series of dead ends and hard jumps that if you mess up, it means you're going to spend another 5 minutes on that stupid jump. After about 15 minutes of trying, I realized that I should try replaying the previous level. I would have used this strategy before if it wasn't for how awful the previous level was. It's not the most interesting level, but there are some very precise jumps that I would spend minutes at a time attempting just to get one attempt at the actual level. It was the most mind-numbing 40 minutes of my life, but in the end, it felt amazing to finally get. Level 48 features some precise jumps right near the end that might have driven me insane if I didn't have a mental fortress built from the previous level. When I saw level 54, I just knew it was going to be a banger. The 2 kinds of levels that I struggle with the most are the ones that either snake around and the ones that have lots of holes and very thin platforms. I'm glad this doesn't snake around, as those can just be impossible, but this is still pretty bad. I fell constantly for about 10 minutes before landing everything. Level 56 had some tight jumps at the end, but I managed to clear it. Level 61 was the next one to give me some trouble. You first have to jump between these very big platforms and get to this part over here. It's not too hard and I didn't die here a whole lot. I then had to parkour between these tiny platforms, which is what killed me 95% of the time. I first tried to just make a big jump from the second platform to the last, but this only worked if I hit the jump on the last frames I was still on the platform. You can see in this clip that I started to fall off the platform and just barely hit the jump button in time to reach the next platform. I later realized that if you did short hops, you could make it a bit more consistently, but it was still very difficult and had to be executed perfectly. After finally getting all of those jumps, I had to remember to immediately start rotating around the level to the right to get on the big platforms, which I often forgot to do, because if I got on the little platforms, I have to go left and I can't do that. But after half an hour of attempts, I finally strung everything together and moved on to level 62, which I beat on my first try. It was really nice and a refreshing experience that I don't often get this far into a challenge. Level 63 required a bunch of little hops in a row, and of course, instead of using the runner, who complements this level perfectly, I decided to cause a ridiculous amount of pain and suffering by using the lizard. I had a nice one up in level 64 before tackling the final level, level 65. Here's how my first attempt went. This is actually a super hard level, and I was very impressed with myself for getting that far. I figured that if I just jumped more precisely, I could certainly clear the gap. So I tried again, and again, and again. But I couldn't quite reach the end. I tried with the skater, but she can't quite jump high enough or move side to side fast enough to make it to that spot. So we're gonna have to break out another character. Since I wanted to be fair, I decided on the bunny. You unlock the bunny by getting 8 achievements. I unlocked 2 in the beginning easily, but since I logged into my 100% account, I already have everything done and couldn't get any more. I figured that I could definitely have gotten 6 more, considering several of them literally require you to not go left. The bunny can also go really fast and jump super high, making it possible to beat this level while still providing a challenge. I hopped from platform to platform, expertly weaving my way through the level with ease, and fell right into the cutscene trigger, finishing run 3. There's actually a lot more to offer from this game, including over 200 other levels and a whole storyline that I made a video about. You should go watch it if you're interested. Also, if you would like and subscribe, it would help me out a ton. Thank you, and have a great day.